Hi guys, this minute has arrived. we said goodbye to the quarter of duality and we entered just now, I think an hour ago, the quarter of mutation, where transformation is the whole thing, the whole energy, and also all the people that were born with the personality sun in the quarter of mutation. They're here to fulfill their lives by transformation, all kinds of transformation, witness transformation, go through transformation. And of course, when transformation is the fulfillment, is the purpose, then anything and everything is possible. So the quarter of mutation, I'm of course in love with this quarter. I was born in this quarter, and lots of my friends are from this quarter. And this is interesting, you know, the energy that I share with them, these people that are born in this quarter, and we have these serendipities or of meetings or not. You know, it could be by chance, it could be planned, you know, and there are people that have the same frequency as I have in this way of changing all the time, and I really resonate with this. So if we just look at these gates that belong to the quarter of mutation, we see the definition that is created in the body graph, which is the channel of exploration, a design of following your own convictions. And we know that we are talking about not mental convictions, but guts convictions. Yes, the inner truth that is in the body, in this case, in the sacral. This is a very individual channel from the centering circuit. It's all about centering in yourself, and as we will see soon, the first gate that begins this quarter, the creative, the youngest hexagram, 6 yang lines. Sorry, it's all about the creative expression, but the direction is inward. Yes, this is the direction that actually looks at its navel. So we can really see it in this in the body graph itself, the gates that show us the definition, that show us what this quarter is all about. And the transformation is about leaving everything behind and following one's convictions. We are not in the mind anymore. We are not in the form anymore. We are not in relationship. Now it's only us with our navel. And before we leave this plane, before we complete the cycle of our lives, we need to accept the transformation and the mutation, to love our life in order to love and accept death. You know, we are this the mystical theme of this quarter is accepting death, and we can't accept death if we haven't followed our own convictions that brought us to self-love and loving of being in the world. Yes, loving being in the world, and then you can also mutate, transform, and live this world. Another interesting thing that we see, that 6 out of the 9 gates of the root center are part of this quarter. And that means that there is a pressure to mutate. There's pressure to transform before death, to transform, to decondition, to follow who we are, to live from this inner response to life, not listen to the spleen, not listen to the solar plexus, not listen to anything, just get in very, very deeply in ourselves and accept who we are in order to leave this plane calmly and correctly. Very, very interesting. And the first gate, the gate of the creative, and the second gate, these 2 gates that the sun and the earth entered an hour ago, it's about they are part of the Sphinx, of the cross of the Sphinx that divides the wheel into 4 parts, and it's a very, very interesting cross. It's all about time and space. It's about direction, but direction is time and space. People that are born with the 7th gate in their sun, they always look ahead. Yeah, they look to the future. And people that are born with the 13th in their personality sun, they always look to the past. But the first gate, and this it connects so beautifully to this channel of exploration. The first gate looks at its own navel. It doesn't look to any direction. The direction is actually the first gate itself in this case. Yes, this is the being in the right place, in the right time, and just expressing the deep creative force that this gate brings. Creation is a primal force, the energy potential to manifest inspiration without limitation. This is the youngest gate in the wheel, and it's so interesting to see how this pressure, deep pressure of yang energy, yes, that wants to express itself, has no connection to a motor. So this is part of a projected channel. So all this creativity of expression that is built there with all this young energy needs to wait to be invited out. And it's very interesting because being born with the sun in this first gate, it's really all about creative expression, unique creative expression, mutative creative expression, but it has no motor. It needs to wait to be connected to a motor. And on the other side, the yinist gate, the driver, yes, where the driver sits, the receptive, 6 yin lines, receptivity as the primal base through which any response is determined, the root of action. So it's so interesting to see that the youngest gate, which is all about action, as we have this thought about young energy, that it's about action. But the youngest gate is part of a projected channel. It needs to wait for the energy to invite or to be drawn out, yes, to be drawn out by the energy. And the other way, the opposition is the yinist, the receptive, but it is part of a very very generating channel that is all about direction. The driver sits there and waits for the 14th to push to push the gas, and then there's our material direction. Yes, it's all about duality, because this is a binary. Yes, a binary. This is the yinist gate that is part of the quarter of civilization that is talking about the form, but it is also called the higher knowing, and it's a game. It's like a game between the first gate, which is all about creative expression, but it can't do anything, and this is the higher knowing that is receptive and waits for the gas. And when the gas arrives, when the fuel arrives, then these people with a channel of the beat, they show us the direction, because the driver has the fuel to drive wherever it needs to drive. So it's all about material direction, not about spiritual direction, but about material direction. And spiritual expression is more expressed through the first gate. So this is a game between the higher knowing, the expression, the spirit, the form, the material. Very, very interesting game between this movement. It's not a game, it's a dance, it's a movement, very interesting movement between these two gates that are very difficult to take them apart. When you look at one, you really need to look at the other because they're so strong, the yinnest and the youngest of all gates. So we have a week that begins with creative self-expression, the need to have a very unique self-expression. Yes, this is a very, very individual gate. And of course, the higher knowing that waits to be fueled in order to take us to the right direction. So these two gates, very individual. Melancholy is, of course, involved in them, creativity, of course, and it's all about direction and following one's convictions. This is the quarter of transformation, so it's going to be interesting. Then, tomorrow, Venus is going to enter the gate of ideas in the Ajna Center, and Mercury will be in the gate of breakthrough in the Ajna, and the Moon will be in the 61st gate, the gate of mystery, the pressure to know the unknown. So all these mental activities, if you are connected to them somehow, two of them are also individual. So with the Sun and the Earth, they're going to be melancholy in the air. And of course, we don't forget the background frequency that we have from the nodes, the channel of community that does everything sticky, makes everything sticky. And it's interesting when we have direction gates in the Sun Earth, we are going to have a lot of bargains about direction. We are going to have a lot of emotional ego stuff about direction. Interesting. I'm waiting to hear what comes to me from people when we have interesting transits. And then in the 8th of November, the Sun is going to enter the 49th gate, and from now on it will move. It's not the Sun, sorry, it's the Moon, and it will move. The Moon will move through all the gates of the solar plexus, almost all the gates of the solar plexus, because they are one after the other. So because we have the channel of community as a global conditioning pattern, we will feel it very strongly, not only those who connect directly. So the first one is the 49th gate, the gate of revolution. It is part of the stream of sensitivity that is already, one channel of it is defined in the transit. So we have almost the whole stream of sensitivity. The 49th gate is about rejection or acceptance. It's about emotional principles. It's about revolution. So it's the gate of the butcher, yes. Cuts you off or not, accepts you or rejects you. And it's also about divorce. And it's interesting because the channel of the marriage is also defined. So it's all about stickiness in the relationship, bargains in the relationship, and the issue of direction will also be there. So it's going to be interesting to watch. And from there, the Moon is going to get into the clinging fire. So we are going to have a little desire in the air. And from there, it's going to jump into the abundance of the 55th gate, the gate of fickleness, the being in love with love. I don't know if I love her. I don't know if I don't love her. I don't know. A very moody gate, very moody. So another individual moody gate with the Sun and the Earth and some others. I see also Mars is in the 60th gate. So yes, a lot of moodiness in the air. And then before the 55th gate, before the Moon leaves the 55th gate, we have Mercury that jumps into the 14th gate, the gate of power skills, the gate of the wagon, possession in great measure. And this is the fuel for our driver to take us to the creative direction. So we are going to have this channel for a few days. It is going to light up everything that happens in the sacral and in the G. So, of course, the first gate, the second gate, the 14th, the whole channel, the 5th gate and the 42nd gate, all of them are going to be very strongly felt, will be am I saying it correctly? I think so. We are going to feel them very strongly. Yes, the direction is going to be a real issue. I invite you to watch it. There's another interesting thing that I've noticed, that sometimes when the transits are defined in a global conditioning pattern that is similar to people that I know, so sometimes this energy brings them to me. So let's see who would arrive with these interesting definitions in the transits. So we are going to have a very empowered creative direction and higher knowing, and of course the channel of community doesn't go anywhere. So interesting. And then the moon would move to the 22nd gate, the gate of grace, the gate of openness, another very individual gate. The left ear, hearing over time. You remember this interesting gate, wants to empower with influence. So this will also be creative. It's going to try to impact us with creative direction about marriage and about bonding. Interesting. And the last station of the moon in this week will be in the darkening of the light, the 36th gate, the gate of the emotional crisis. And yes, if we enter into all kind of things that we thought it's on our right direction, and we made some bargains, and if we didn't make them according to our strategy and on authority, we might feel an emotional crisis. Interesting week, really interesting week. So we said that the mystical theme of this quarter of mutation is accepting death, and actually accepting death has so many levels, or so many ways and aspects to look at it. So as I see it, every change requires death. Every change, if we really embrace change, if we surrender to who we are, and the wheel keeps turning, and we are rolling on this wheel towards the correct direction of our lives, and we have to meet new people and lose other people. We begin cycles and we end them, and we transform all the time. And every transformation has to do with death. We really need to accept the way that life goes. Life changes all the time. We change all the time. And in this deconditioning process, since the beginning of my experiment, I lost so many things that I thought were mine, and they were not. And things that I thought that were defining me, that I really identified with things that are not me. And I have to accept the death of the not self. I have to accept the death of all cycles that are supposed to be finished, of relationships that needs to be finished. I need to release, to be in a situation to let go, and I feel it so strongly because the not self doesn't want to let go. And I'm working with a lot of people, and I can see sometimes, not every time, but I can see the attachment that the not self has, and the mind doesn't want to let go of concepts that it believed about who we are. And it's so beautiful to see when these surrender comes, and with this acceptance of the death of the old, that's the only way the new can emerge. And and it's amazing, because every time I think this is already finished, one issue was finished, then I can see there's another layer, that there's another level of change that comes, another mutation takes me to the next step, and I really love looking at it. I love looking at it, and I love getting the feedback from life. I don't know if I shared it that not long ago I met somebody that knew me like 10 years ago, and she didn't recognize me. It took her, we were in a show together, my son was performing, he's a musician, and she looked at me the whole evening, and only in the end she understood that it's me, and she came to me and she said, oh my God, I didn't recognize me, you are a different person. And it's true, I am a different person. This is exactly the quarter of mutation, that this fulfillment of these people that were born with the personality sun in this quarter, they are fulfilled by transformation, and it's about really this way of becoming all these phases of transformation all the time. I was connected to this transforming. I loved it. I wasn't afraid of change, but now it's even better and stronger, because I'm willing to let go of many things that I thought about myself. So it's really total surrender. And to get this feedback, somebody comes and say, oh, you are a different person. That's true. I am a different person. It's not only on the outside, it's in the inside. It's like a different life cycle. I already forgot who I was there and there and then. It's very, very interesting. So this is the quarter that we started, and this energy of transformation will be very strong for all of us, and especially for the people in this quarter. So let us continue with our Holy Trinity. Just be locked in our strategy, navigate with our inner authority or decision-making process, and sleep alone. And then every day after we died in the night, because we die, part of us die, we wake up reborn into a new cycle, and so on. See you. Bye-bye.